Hello, my name is Julie Kavanagh and I'm a member of the team in Kildare and Leighlin Faith Development Services. In this short video, I hope to introduce you to some of the key aspects of the celebrations of the sacred Paschal Triduum, what you might more often hear referred to as just the Triduum. The word Paschal in the official title reminds us of the life, death and resurrection of Christ, which is at the heart of the Triduum. Across our parishes, liturgy groups, priests and parish staff are busy preparing to celebrate the liturgies of the Triduum. The good news is that there are plenty of resources to help them. This video is just one, and it's further supported by a number of online resources to be found on candle.ie. These resources go into much greater detail than I will here. So what is the Triduum? The word Triduum simply means 3 days. The Triduum begins on Holy Thursday with evening Mass of the Lord's Supper, and it concludes with evening prayer on Easter Sunday. 3 central liturgies stand out in these days. They are the evening Mass of the Lord's Supper, which I just mentioned, the celebration of the Passion of the Lord on Good Friday, and the Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday. Together, they form the core of the Triduum experience. Before looking at these liturgies individually, there are a number of starting points that might be helpful to consider. It's helpful to think of these 3 liturgies as one celebration. As a congregation, we are greeted at the beginning of Thursday evening's Mass, but we aren't actually dismissed until the end of the Easter Vigil. So this one celebration unfolds over the course of 3 days. These liturgies of the Triduum mark the high point of the whole of the church year. The Triduum is to the year what Sunday is to the week. As we look back in our year, hopefully they will stand out to parishioners as this high point. In these liturgies, we meet many unique rituals that we only celebrate once a year. Now this calls us to celebrate them well, but also to do with a sense of the familiar. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's about knowing the essential elements of these days and celebrating them as well as we can from year to year. So clearly these are days that demand effort and preparation. For it to be a rich celebration of the deepest mysteries of our faith, we'll need to call upon the great diversity of gifts in our parish, and we'll have to draw out the best we can offer. As parishes make their preparations, I'd like to suggest that they consider some of the following questions. As people gather to celebrate these liturgies, how will the worship space itself convey a sense of welcome, hospitality, as well as reverence and solemnity? Creating such a space involves physical elements such as light, heating, decor, tidiness, but it also involves the people and the attitude of the people themselves as they gather. It particularly involves the ministers of the liturgy who will serve the prayer of the congregation. Over the course of these days, how will the many symbols we encounter be used in such a way as to make them speak as loudly as possible? Symbols such as the taking, blessing, breaking and sharing of bread and wine, the washing of feet, the adoration of one cross, the gathering around and blessing of a fire, the sharing of the light of Christ, the waters of baptism, the pouring of oil. Notice how symbols find their life in the actions we do with them. Over these days, if we can't taste bread and wine, if we can't touch wood, feel the heat of fire, smell the perfume of oil, then we haven't allowed the symbols to breathe for us. Again, over these days, we encounter lots of movements and processions. So how do we choreograph this element? What processions are involved? Where and how will they take place? What music accompanies our processions? And most importantly, how will the people, the congregation, be guided to know and claim their part in any processions? Finally, the musical demands of the liturgy are greatest in these days. Those preparing for the Triduum need to work very closely with music ministers to help them make sure that the music is supporting and enhancing what we are about in any given moment. As I said, the Triduum is one celebration expressed in 3 distinctive liturgies over the course of 3 days. Each liturgy has its own particular key elements. Part of preparation is knowing what these key elements are. Remember, there are detailed resources for all these liturgies on our diocesan website, candle.ie.